I am Slick Nick, your personal keto bro. And no, I'm not a doctor, dietitian, nutritionist, or personal trainer. I am just some random guy on the internet who is having success with this whole keto thing, like what, 7 months into this thing at this point. So people say, well, I tried keto, but it gave me diarrhea. So what would I say about that? Here's what I would say. Now, I loved the Wile E. Coyote cartoons. You know, those things were made back in the 40s and 50s, and then I saw them in the 80s and 90s as a kid. But in those cartoons, you'd often see Wile E. Coyote try the newest trap to kill or capture the roadrunner. And he'd try it one time and it didn't work right. And instead of perfecting it, he just abandoned it and tried to do something else. And that's how I feel a lot of people do with keto. They try it and get diarrhea and never try it again. So I want to talk about why that happens. Again, I'm just some guy on the internet. I'm not a doctor or anything like that. But here's what I can tell you about it. So when you cut out carbs from your diet and you implement a lot of fat, your body has to be able to digest and process all of that fat that you're suddenly doing. Well, without carbohydrates, or specifically fiber, it's going to make it to where your body cannot process all that fat at once. And what's going to happen is your body's going to have to use water to push it through, which causes the diarrhea. So that's what happens, that's what causes it, but it's a simple solution. What you do is just tone it back a little bit on the fat. See, this happens to people who are new at keto, not people who've been doing it a while. It doesn't happen to me. But people who are new don't understand that, yes, you are going to be eating more fat in your diet, but there is a such thing as too much. Now, typically in keto, you're not really counting calories, but your body has its own way of telling you if you're consuming too much fat because it can't keep up with digesting it quick enough. So here's what I would suggest. I'm going to show you the wrong way and then I'm going to show you the right way because maybe I've learned from experience on this, huh? So for example, here would be a wrong way. So you do intermittent fasting until, let's say, 2 o'clock. And you're just having black coffee, MCT, and oil and water. And then 2 o'clock shows up and you have 3 eggs, 4 slices of bacon, a serving of cream cheese, and that's it. Well, if you do that, you're probably going to end up in that situation where you've had too much fat and of course no fiber in there. So for example, if you're going with the 3 eggs, that's good because there's a good amount of protein in those eggs. Bacon often is a 1-to-1 ratio between fat and protein, but in my experience, you can usually get away with about 2 strips of bacon. If you make it 4, it's too much fat. So I would say aim for about 2 strips of bacon with the 3 eggs. And I have learned to put in a cup of cottage cheese in there as well, full fat cottage cheese, because there's a lot of protein in that. So, and then also I'll finish out with 1 ounce of mixed nuts, because there actually is a little bit of carbohydrates in those nuts, even though there's so much fat. So for me, it's little things like that I've learned, is that yes, you want a lot of fat and you're breaking your fast with that, but you need a little bit of fiber in there. And if you overdo it on the fat, it's still not going to be quite enough for your body to be able to process. So that's what I would say to try out. Even for me, I had this one, it was like a vegan protein shake that was coffee flavored and it had MCT oil already in it, where there was something about that my body just couldn't process. It also had like sucralose or one of those fake sweeteners, so that might have been the problem. But ultimately, there must have just been way too much fat in that for my body to process, so I stopped using that one. So that's ultimately what it is. If you consume too much fat on keto without pairing it with some fiber, whether it's sauerkraut or nuts or fruits or vegetables, if you don't have some in there, then it's going to be too much fat for your body to process. It will cause your body to use its water to flush that out because it just can't process it. So that's why it is. So you don't give up on keto just because you get diarrhea. What you do, have some fiber in there and maybe tone it down on the fat. Maybe 4 pieces is too much. Just do 2. Just tone it back, just dial it back, just recalibrate. That's all you have to do. You don't give up on something just because it doesn't work the first time. That's how I'm several months into keto and loving it and finding success with it. Your comments belong right here.